This is going to be one hell of a best of 3 to start things off with. The planning for today, guys, is 2 best of 3s. We have 1 best of 3 from the first 4 matches of the knockout bracket, then we have 1 more best of 3, and after that it's best of 5 all the way. So we've got a very long day of StarCraft ahead of us. In the top left side of the map that apparently looks like a teddy bear according to Big, I'll be honest Big, I don't see it. This is the Shopify Rebellion's ByuN.
And up here in the top right-hand side of the map, our blue Protoss player at his first offline LAN event. He is from Team Super. It is Trigger. By the way, Nyal, let us know, do you see the teddy bear? I feel like this is an important thing. The desk spends so much time. Yes, okay, Nyal sees it. Do you see? There's like the eyes, there's the nose right there.
Yeah, but what's on the side? Are those the chubby cheeks or something? Like, I don't know. We're stretching, but yeah, I can sort of see it. That's the nose, right? The star is the nose?
Yeah, the star is the nose.
All right, there we go.
Have you ever built a Care Bear or something?
No, I have not.
It's not a part of the normal growing up experience in the Netherlands.
Nope.
Fair enough.
So Stargate is actually the map that Pig mentioned as well, where he's like, I just want to see it a bit more, not just because there is a teddy bear on the mini-map, but also because this map is kind of unique. There is a pocket base, but that pocket base is blocked by minerals. I'll be honest, from all the new maps, this is the one that I've definitely seen the least games on, maybe 4 or 5 at this point. But ByuN, despite the fact that that base is going to get blocked by minerals, is still going to drop his command center in the pocket expand.
Yeah, okay, so Kev, I want to bring up 2 things that you just mentioned that I think are going to be very important. One thing is something that the desk mentioned, which is Trigger has actually been very good with his Blink Stalker micro in kind of a period of time where a lot of these maps have been very favorable for 4-gate Blink Stalker aggression. I'll see if Trigger decides to move in something like that, as he is just making an adept first for now. But the second thing is, one of the most memorable games I've seen on Stargazers in PvT lately was actually MaxPax versus Clem in one of the EPT Cups, where MaxPax just put on a clinic with Blink Stalker aggression, where the Xel'Naga Watchtower at the center gives you high ground vision into your opponent's in-base natural. And what that means is that Stalkers can blink over the mineral patches that block that area. So they can actually blink into that natural from kind of an odd angle. It makes it very difficult for the Terran player, if they don't know where the Stalkers are, to basically maneuver in from like all the different angles. It's almost like you're surrounded from, 180 degrees by potential Blink Stalker aggression angles.
And Ben already mentioned on the desk that when he thinks of this young Canadian Protoss, he thinks of a lot of Blink Stalker aggression, and it is definitely going to be the opening. The Reaper does draw first blood there, so well done by ByuN. Did he even ski the Twilight Council though? Can we just confirm that he actually got that scout off? Yeah, he saw it go down earlier and he saw it was still there, I guess. So I guess he can make the little calculation that this is more often than not Blink. Sometimes, once in a blue moon, it can be DTs, but I think Blink is the very safe guess. And my lovely observer, Nyali, you've been doing an amazing job, but can you please hide the server information on the top left side?
Yeah. Well, as we get ready to move forward, the Stalkers are going to make their way across the map and poke around. He's going to be able to confirm that, he already knew that there was going to be the in-base natural expansion taken, so he's going to try and poke around at some of these Marines. But it is when Blink finishes up that I really think things are going to get a little bit tricky. Couple of Marines going down over here. Trigger finding some really nice damage.
Yeah, I don't really know why these Marines would be here. Okay, the Cyclone is up. Then it obviously makes a lot of sense. Can we get the double kill? Yes, we do get the double kill.
Big.
Well done by ByuN. So maybe that was a bit of a bait. But I do think that Trigger made life hard on himself by first trying to go down that ramp, because then you don't have high ground vision anymore. Well, there's actually a lot of surface area that you can kite slow Marines all the way back. But that's obviously a lovely start. Cyclone seems to be a little bit buggy. Still wants to kill what it already killed on the left side, but eventually it will turn around. Look at this thing going backwards, Ravi.
This is definitely turning into a kind of funny situation. The Cyclone is going to spot out how many Stalkers have been warped in. If he didn't already assume it was going to be this kind of Blink opening off the Twilight Council earlier, he definitely knows for now. Blink is going to be finishing up in a little bit, and we also have an Observer coming on out. So Trigger's going to have the ability to put on a little bit of pressure, but it's just off of the 2 warp gates for now. He's not really invested into, say, like a 4-gate Blink Stalker attack. So anything he does with this is going to be definitely a lighter pressure.
Yeah. Now, if you're Trigger and you're playing such a big match here with your tournament life on the line, losing 2 Stalkers like that quickly, and even, of course, burning the recall, it's 50 energy. That could have been a chrono boost on something else. That is not a good start. But fortunately, this map is somewhat decently sized, so normally losing 2 Stalkers is not the end of the world immediately. But it's definitely a bit shaky for the youngster. Meanwhile, ByuN is going to feel like, all right, I've got a good setup, I'm cruising, I've already killed 2 pretty important units, and I know I don't have to fear your aggression, so it can now be all about my aggression by the time that Stim and +1 kicks in. And that's normally where ByuN shines the most as well.
Yeah, I think also once those medevacs pop out, we have to talk about how short the air distance is on this map between these 2 in-base naturals, because these players did expand into each other in that sense. All the Stalkers out on the map means that this Cyclone gets a very strange opportunity to get some damage done. I'm curious, do you feel like it's worth sacrificing the Cyclone for a couple of workers over there? I feel like it holds a lot of utility value for the defense, right?
Yeah, sometimes, but I guess he has already read this correctly, where he's like, I don't have to worry about a Prism, I don't need to lock on a Prism, it's not like you're going to have DTs with a War Prism, so I think ByuN just kind of wanted to get a little scout off, and, you know, obviously at that point, if you can get some probes, you may as well. It feels weird, but I don't hate it that he feels the Cyclone is not what's going to make the difference, because the Cyclone moves very differently than the medevacs and the bio units, right? Because they can stim, the Cyclone cannot, so I can sort of get behind getting rid of it, especially if you can grab a couple of probes. And speaking of grabbing a few probes, we're going to get a few more here. So far, this is honestly turning into a bit of a disaster game for Trigger, because this is a tough fight, man. These bio units, they pack a punch, and the Stalkers should be able to clean it up eventually, but at what cost? At the cost of almost every single Protoss unit going down. That was another phenomenal trade for ByuN, who's clearly feeling it today.
Really great decision making there from ByuN as well. Realizing that a bunch of the Stalkers had to blink from the low ground up, so the Stalkers on the left-hand side had their blink on cooldown. ByuN micros in that direction to ensure you can get those Stalkers killed off sooner rather than later. Now, Trigger is at least going to be finishing up charge. He's got his Colossus starting to pop on out. He's got +1 weapons about to finish up, but ByuN really does seem like he's been able to garner himself a great position, picking off so many of the gateway units for Trigger. I mean, we're down to 5 Stalkers and a Colossus right now here, Kev.
And that is not enough to deal with this many power units. ByuN is going to stim forward immediately. Gun down that battery, of course, because no matter how few units you have, sometimes battery overcharge can make the difference. Big Daddy Colossus does show up, but it does not have the extended thermal lens upgrade. So it actually needs to be very careful that it doesn't get too close to all these Marauders. Marauders with medevac support. Nice blink there by the young Canadian. Can he keep the Colossus alive? It's so damn close. ByuN is going to try to drop the Marauder on top of it, but he loses the medevac. Wow, that was actually a great hold. It really did not look good for Trigger at all. But if you talk about a game-saving Colossus, that Giraffe has really turned things around.
Yeah, fantastically handled there by Trigger. And remember, he gets the Widow Mines as well. And now we also have the attack at the front that gets deflected. So Trigger suddenly has a lot more life left in him. You can already see the supply counts being evened up a little bit. And now he's going to be getting up to 3 Colossus, which is kind of a magic number for Protoss players to get up to. He's going to have a lot more firepower, and that's around the time that Protoss players can even start making decisions of saying, do I want to transition out and start getting up Disruptors? Do I want to start focusing on other units? And I'm interested to see where he actually decides to take this now.
Yeah, no, that was amazing, because this game was honestly a bit of a disaster up to that point. But the extra Stalkers coming in, blinking forward, blocking the path of those Marauders, trying to get in range of the Colossus. And then ByuN tried to get a little fancy, right? He's like, picks up one Marauder, tries to fly it forward, tries to unload the Marauder, get 1 or 2 more shots off on the Colossus, because then it would have still been all okay. But then he didn't get it, lost the medevac with the 1 Marauder inside of it. And in the end, kind of end up losing everything, and definitely lost most of the momentum that he has created for himself. So I think this game is going to slow down a little bit. I mean, if you look at the setup of this map, once you are truly established on 3 bases, and Trigger also had multiple observers there in the mix, so he's going to get a good idea of where medevacs could be coming from. Yeah, kind of just go up to 4 bases, right? Get a couple of Disruptors, maybe even get a second Forge, but I think for Trigger right now, it's all about going up to 4 bases and making sure that you have an answer for a bunch of tanks and Vikings and just keep them at bay. Like, he can have them, he can try to get a couple shots off, but don't let tanks siege up close to any nexus.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a good call to look out for. Now, this Bioforce is going to be making its way into the center of the map, but the Stalkers and Colossus are here to greet him, as well as a single Disruptor in the mix. The kind of funny thing about how this map is laid out is that the early game, especially with the airdrop potential and everything that we saw earlier from ByuN, They're very close, but as these bases start coming up, they're kind of going to be expanding further and further away from each other in some ways. So it is going to be a slightly longer distance for some of those big tank push-outs and everything to move out. And I think one of the biggest things is that Zelda Watchtower actually holds so much value. I love that Trigger is making an active effort to control that.
Yep, and then he still has an observer on top of the army of ByuN. Now, one of the things that really comes into play when you're playing in a different environment offline is that the lighting is different. Often the monitor is a bit different than the one you have at home, and it's really hard to get the exact same settings. Obviously, pro players will try to get it as close as to what they have at home, but you never get it 100%. And I actually think it's a bit shocking that ByuN has had this observer on top of his army for this long, and that could just be because it's a bit darker here than it would normally be, and he doesn't see them. And now he does throw down his scanners. A couple of balls fly forward. Some pretty decent connections, but ByuN has done a good job in picking up a couple of those disruptors too. Battery overcharge is definitely necessary. We're going to try to save at least a couple of these robo units. Whereas the rest of the army of Trigger, he has a few more units coming in from the top, and these zealots, that's going to be good enough. But more stalkers getting cleaned up in the center. I mean, all hell breaking loose here, but there's still a lot of big robo units left over. It started off bad for Trigger, but I think in the end, if you look at what came out of that fight, 2 Colossus, 3 Disruptor, that's honestly very good for the young Canadian.
Yeah, I am really surprised by how poorly that fight started, or looked like it was starting off to. But he managed to still kind of turn it around. Now these Disruptors got their shots available again. One Disruptor shot going to be going off, not finding a whole lot. EMP's coming out on top of the Zealots as well. Another Disruptor, a couple of shots go off. Finds one of the siege tanks, but ByuN has a nice concave going. No longer the charge loss in front of this Protoss Death Ball. And we see the Disruptors and Stalkers getting focus fire down one by one. All of the little leads that Trigger maybe was starting to garner for himself, all disappearing there.
Yep, also 2-2 was done for that fight, and it wasn't done for all those previous fights. I really think Trigger got a bit too carried away there after kind of stabilizing those 4 bases, keeping a couple of robo units alive. He's like, that's it, let's go. But you don't have a War Prism there, you don't have a pylon with some extra reinforcements, or a gate by proxy. So he ends up losing all of these important units, and now the door is wide open towards the base that he took initially as his third base a long time ago. A couple of balls fly forward. Can we get the double kill on the tanks? Yes, we can. Another shield battery overcharge is trying to make life a little bit easier for these Zealots, but ByuN still has a lot of firepower here, and Trigger just needs one of those Colossus that he lost earlier.
Beautiful focus fire there from ByuN. He takes the first game of this best of 3. And after I would say a pretty good start there from ByuN, right? It only got a little bit rocky in the middle, but he still closed it out in really phenomenal fashion. I think you were talking a little bit about Trigger's move-out timing and everything, but it was kind of like a little bit of a crazy game. It got a bit more hectic than it really should have.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trigger, and this is something I've seen in a lot of his games online as well, he can just get a little bit carried away. He can get a bit overeager. Because he did a great job. He stabilized on 4 bases. He had an 8-worker advantage. He had +2. He had double robo. He was still building probes and taking a gas. But because he kind of won a chaotic, hectic fight, he's like, let's keep chasing. And before you know it, you run all the way to the other side of the map where ByuN does have defensive reinforcements. And during that, ByuN's 2-2 upgrades finished up. And Disruptors are great defensive units, are sometimes very good units in just a straight up fight as well, but Disruptors are not the kind of unit that's great in chasing. And he basically blew up a couple of his own Zealots as well by trying to get so eager. I really think that's just a bit of inexperience where Trigger gets too excited, where he's like, I think I'm doing it, I think I've got him, and then it backfired, and ByuN is actually, nope, I've got you.
Definitely a bit rough, but
Look at
with
the Zealots here.
Yeah, exactly. It's all those Zealots on the kind of the front lines getting super far forward. The Disruptor shot comes out, and that's some of those Zealots that you were talking about that he ended up kind of friendly firing. So as soon as those Zealots are gone, the rest of your army is just so squishy with this composition. You really need to have those frontline units, and you were talking about not having, like, say, a Warp Prism or something to help reinforce faster. Imagine if there were 6 or 7 more Zealots that buy time. Even if he ends up going for a retreat, at least the Colossus or Disruptors stay alive in that situation.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of robo units that you just can't lose. He lost a couple before, but that's okay because he also got the pick off on a bunch of Vikings. He got a couple of tanks, and those are also units that it takes a little while for the Terran to reproduce. But yeah, I think that's once more just inexperience. Hasn't gone to any offline event yet ever. This is his very first proper offline event. And he plays a lot online, but it's just different, and especially on the big stage. This is the final round of the knockout bracket. If you win this, no more best of 3s, only best of 5s, and you would secure a spot in the top 24. It's big, and I can only imagine that he's definitely feeling the pressure of the moment.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let's get started with game number 2. We're headed on to Inside and Out. We're going to be starting up at the top right-hand side of the map, top of Shopify Rebellion's very own Red Terran player, ByuN.
2016 world champion, going up against this man, attending an offline StarCraft 2 event for the first time in his career, already a run to be proud of, top 32, but he wants to break into that top 24. Can he do it? It's the young Canadian representing Super Team, Trigger.
It'll be pretty crazy if Trigger can, somehow turn this series around, make something happen. Inside and Out, definitely one of the maps that I look at, Kevin. I think, well, Blinkstalkers are pretty good on this map.
You're not wrong. There's a lot of surface area to blink into the main base. That first game was really fun because obviously it starts off kind of shaky. We lose 2 Stalkers because we mismicroed a little bit against the Marine. Then the Cyclone showed up. You try to recall, doesn't work, end up losing both. Then the first drops did quite a bit of damage. But at one point, I really do feel that our Protoss started turning in the round, especially once he blinked with the Stalkers to block those Marauders, kept the Colossus alive. That was a real game changer. And from there on out, a lot of things actually went his way. This is a shame for him that he got a bit over-eager, but very well done there by ByuN, of course, where ByuN could stay around on the other side of the map. He's like, okay, the fight is not going great, but I'm just going to make the best of it. No, ByuN said, all right, this is a losing battle. I'm going to retreat. I'm going to run to my side of the map. And right when the 2-2 upgrades kicked in, the reinforcements show up, he turns around, and he takes a game-deciding fight.
Yeah, it's not necessarily even that ByuN was doing anything that was like poor micro, but it is kind of funny to see the situation where Trigger's advantages were garnered off of really good micro, and ByuN was actually just having really good decision making, being able to make the most of the situation. We do have that good old proxy coming up there that our wonderful observer Nyal was showing us. A proxy Twilight Council and the probe sticking around really does indicate to me, Kev, we could be seeing a Dark Shrine coming out. But what does this Reaper think when it sees, okay, no tech in the main base, just a single gateway cyber core, but there's also not that many gateway units there yet.
Yeah, it is indeed going to be a very quick Dark Shrine, but I was actually thinking, it's like, I wouldn't even hate it if he would still go Blink. Because normally if you would scout this, if you're ByuN, I would think of, okay, Proxy Stargate, Oracles are coming my way, so I'm gonna get ready for the Oracle. And we already have a Twilight Council. Reapers are checking around, but they haven't quite found what they're looking for. Adepts are sleeping on the job, though, and 2 Reapers can kill probes very quickly. You don't want to lose too many workers here. 2 probes do go down by the looks of it. Actually really sticks around on one of the Reapers, and in the end, missed target. Bit of misfire there. I actually think he would have been able to kill 1 more probe. But still a very lovely start overall. That's already 3 workers going down, I believe, in total.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things about Inside and Out as a DT enthusiast. That little pylon that Trigger is going for, that's next to ByuN's natural, it does have a little bit of the radius going into the natural itself, so he can bypass maybe like a forward bunker or things like that, get those DTs in from a very odd angle that ByuN might not be expecting. Reaper still doing more damage. Oh my god, how many pros have we lost so far? 4 workers?
Yeah.
4 workers killed so far, and this Reaper's still going.
It could be 5, and it is 5. I mean, that's really just not the start that you're looking for at all if you Trigger. Down 0-1, tournament live on the line. So he can warp in, but he needs high ground vision, no? Or you know?
No, you don't need high ground vision at all. It's the same level. He needs that warp gate to finish up, though. It's still finishing as the Dark Shrine's there. Actually, the nice thing is,
warping in?
yeah, you can start the warp in. If the warp gate finishes after it, it'll just immediately turn into a fast warp gate.
This actually reminds me of an IEM we did a long time ago where I think a Protoss player did this against a Chinese Terran on the beach map. But ByuN is saving up the scans. ByuN has a scan available. Second DT is going to wait out of radius. eBay is done. We can already start building some turrets. We're going to immediately throw down a second scan. And this is honestly a flawless game so far coming out of ByuN. He's reading him like a book, and the Reaper movement. I mean, if there is one thing that I think ByuN will never forget, it's how to move those Reapers around.
Oh, absolutely. I think ByuN really probably just got a good read on things saying, okay, you really should be able to push back these Reapers a lot better. You should have more units or you should have more tech because I've seen everything you have. So surely there's only one possibility, and figuring out that it was the Dark Shrine, had that missile turret on the way, had the scan saved up, Two Adepts make their way into the main base, which is kind of nice, but it's almost like a little bit of a bait because the Cyclones are here to just pick those off.
Yep, so these Adepts are going to get picked off too, and this is just a very, very dire scenario for Trigger at this point. I almost wonder, wouldn't it be better to just build the Twilight Council in the main base and only proxy the Dark Strike if you want to play like this?
Make it look like Blink or something.
Yeah, and then
like
you can even start off Charge, right? Like Charge is very cheap, so you can still kind of go for the DT tag and be like, oh, I'm going into Blink Stalkers, but by showing nothing, you basically make all the alarm bells go off for a Terran. First thing they worry about is an Oracle. If there is no Oracle showing up, then it's like, well, then it could very well be DTs. I feel like it would almost be better to not hide the Twilight Council.
I'm definitely with you there, Kev. Long road ahead here for Trigger as Blink is going to be finishing up, which sometimes would be a little opportunity, but it's at the same time that Stim finishes up. So I'm not sure how active the Stalkers can really be out on the map, especially now with the Cyclones moving on forward. Gotta be careful about this. You can't really blink out of range of the lock-ons very easily here because, well, those Cyclones already got so close and up and personal. And now we're going to see one Stalker goes down and one Cyclone goes down, but I think the second Stalker might also fall.
Wow. Yeah, that's his third Stalker even, right? Because he had 2 Stalkers in the center, so 3 Stalkers go down in total. I mean, the unit's lost resource tab doesn't lie. Trigger has lost way more resources in this game than ByuN. And sometimes that's acceptable if you're booming as a Protoss and you went for a very greedy third base and it's been fully saturated for a while. That's just not the case at this point. ByuN's army is 44 army supply. Trigger only has 12. And it's honestly a bit of a disaster game. Sometimes it can also be really hard for the young players to mentally recover. If they feel they were in a good spot in game 1, if they thought that things were going their way, and they feel like they threw a little bit, then it becomes really hard. And this could very well be the end, as this army of ByuN is unstoppable. It's way too powerful for this phase in the game. I think top 32 is the end for the young Canadian. Meanwhile, ByuN will move into the round of 24, the official playoffs. So best of 5s from here on out for ByuN.
Definitely well played by ByuN, and Trigger should absolutely still feel pretty happy with a fantastic first performance at his first offline event. I think securing himself something like $1,000, a lot of EPT points that are going to help out quite a bit in that North American region. But ByuN moving on to the playoffs, it feels like really where he should be as well. It's going to be great to see him there.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting to see who ByuN will duke it out with in that round of 24, because that is already going to be very stacked. Second game, just a bit of a disaster.